This episode of the Jiu-Jitsu Times podcast is brought to you in part by No Judges Needed BJJ Apparel and Lavender Lane CBD products. You can use the promo code JJT for 20% off your first order at No Judges Needed, and the code JJTimes20, all uppercase. Last two items are numerical for 20% off your first order of CBD products. Thank you very much for sticking with us. Enjoy the show.
Hello, everyone. Back again for another installment of the Jiu-Jitsu Times podcast. Once again, I am flying solo. I guess that Kevin Bradley is very hard to pin down these days. Probably somewhere studying his higher learning. Did I tell you that he is a Oxford graduate, by the way, Oxford student? But we'll get to that later. Kevin Bradley's busy these days. So I'm going to go solo again on the podcast today. So I'll do my best to get through this and make it as entertaining as possible. But today we have a very special guest and a very current guest because he's off a big fight with Mr. AJ Agazarm in Bellator that was heavily disputed. I mean, I watched the fight. I don't know what the dispute's about, but we could get into that. He is professional MMA fighter with a 7-2 professional record, Bellator fighter, 8-0 amateur record, Mr. Chris Sunshine Lencioni. Thank you so much for coming on the show today, man.
Hi.
Yeah, awesome, bro. Good, bro. So how's it going today, man? You doing all right? You getting some training in a little bit?
Yeah, a little bit of training. Did a bod pod thing today, getting my body fat and all that stuff figured out, metabolic rate. After every fight, I just like to go through a whole, like, kind of sounds silly, but like a detox cleanse thing. You get a lot of injuries and stuff internally and externally, and like fighters and even jiu-jitsu guys for sure. But like fighting, 100%. Because you just little things happen, man. Like perfect example in my fight, AJ, I think, was trying in the third round to like target my broken leg. Well, it's not broken, but it has little fractures in it. And, he was like kicking the out of it, right? And I was like, kick it. And so he actually was kicking the tibia. But like even still, that wasn't healed, just because it's all bruised up. Stuff like that, if you just let it, if you don't like take care of it, it'll mess you up in the future. See, like Sean O'Malley.
Yeah, exactly. I feel bad for that poor kid, man. Like it's sad. I feel bad for him simply because I was excited to see the direction of the future for him. Anytime I see a fighter come up and they have a claim, it's always interesting to me, like him or love him, to see where it goes. It upsets me to see something as odd as an ankle twist pretty much derail that whole train. But it also tells you how hard it is to do that.
Yeah, it's a nerve kick too, man. It's a real kick. Real kick. It'll shut the nerve
Is that
down.
what they were? Yeah, I heard they hit the back of the leg and then they made the leg go dag and then he twisted it, huh?
I don't remember the exact nerve, but it's happened to me, and it happened to me, and I broke my fibula, fibula at the same. Well, not at the same time, because I took like 3 of those kicks in a row. Yeah, it's real. It's a real move.
Yeah,
and that's what happens. Your ankle, you can't control it. It's just like freaking just limp, dude. It's awful.
It looked weird too when he went down. Like he just kind of did that little stutter step thing he does to try to close the distance, and his foot just went boop, and just limped right over.
It just turns off, bro.
Yeah,
turns off and you can't turn it back on. You're like, damn, this is what do I do now? Shoot a takedown, dumbass. That's what you gotta do.
Right, exactly. He tried. He threw a couple big bombs to try to try to put Cheeto away. But like when you're in there with a big guy like Cheeto and you can't stand on your feet, like it was almost a mercy stopping by Herb Dean at the end.
Agreed. I agree.
Well, let's not talk about Sean O'Malley because we're here to talk about you. We're here to talk about your fight. So let's talk a little bit about, first of all, what happened between you and AJ? Because, like, obviously, AJ is what happened between you and AJ. But leading up to the fight and watching the fight, because I watched it on replay, I watched it live kind of in and out, and then I watched it on replay again today. It appeared to me that you guys just do not like each other. Was there something that happened leading up to that, kind of some bad blood?
Oh, there's so much. There's so much, man. I've done a couple interviews about like the previous beef, but like the fact is that dude is just like self-destructive. He's a self-destructive bully, right? So it wasn't hard to not get along with him. You either love me or hate me, right? And if you're a bully, you're gonna hate me right away, dude. I'm sheepdog status in this thing. I'll sniff you right out. And it was so easy to just get under his skin and just ruin his day. I loved it, man.
Yeah,
I wish I could rewind it, but maybe we'll see. I think I thought about it all week. I told my wife, I was like, damn, you're just not going to get many of those in your career where you just like poetic justice. Like some people, they win, they lose, they have good fights. Like I don't know, like DC in that fight this weekend, that was hard for a lot of people because it's like, who do you want to win, right? But it was like very clearly like 99% of the population of MMA and Jiu-Jitsu wanted AJ to get his ass handed to him. And that's exactly what I said to myself. I was like, not putting him away. I'm going to make him pay.
Yeah, he's made a name for himself by becoming that what's the heel?
The heel, yeah.
And there's a part of me that understands there's a need for that. There's a necessity to that. I don't like it, but I guess it's part of athletics. It's not who I am. It's not the person I'd like to be. And sometimes I feel it's a bit distasteful. But,
right.
He does back it up with some sort of ability. Like he goes out there, he wins fights sometimes. He puts on a pretty good show, and he tries his best, particularly in the jiu-jitsu side. I don't know sometimes about the MMA. He looked okay. He didn't. He still has some things to work on. I think he's just an example of someone they're trying to push simply because he is the name that brings in seats. Bellator is big about that stuff. Yeah, but like AJ to me in general, like I was a bit. He's done a good job of putting himself in the position to be able to get in those spots.
I think not to contradict anything.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Let me see what's going on here. You might be your internet's kind of crapping out on us here a little bit.
Yeah, he can you hear me very well?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I know my internet's not the best.
Yeah, that's good. Sorry, folks. We had a little technical difficulty. We were talking about AJ Agazarm and his ability to piss people off. And Chris, go ahead and continue where we left off.
So, part of being the heel, right, is like this commitment to like a role, right? Like, oh, I'm the bad guy, and it's got to be fun. Like you got to get people into it. But with him, it's not an act. Like he really is just like an asshole, and not even a good asshole, man. Like, you watch the movies. We all like Ryan Reynolds. We like some of those guys. He's just a straight up dick, man. And Bellator people didn't like him. Anyone that interacted with him was like, ooh, like who is this guy? He thinks this shit doesn't stink, man. And as far as the fighting goes, man, he had an 8-0 record too, just like me as an amateur. And he had a 3-1 record. He was on a 3-fight win streak. So this whole everyone's giving him flack for not being a good fighter. I'm good. I do that to people. I make them look bad. I mean, and I've done that before. I didn't get 14 wins under my belt before AJ by just being some average jiu-jitsu guy or average fighter, My only 2 losses came to 2 pretty legit guys. One of them, I'm totally convinced he was on the sauce. And the other one was just a high-level wrestler that just wrestled the hell out of me and changed my whole jiu-jitsu game because I was so confident on the bottom. And you go against one of those wrestlers that just doesn't play around. It made me have to switch things up. So, I don't like people knocking AJ's skills. I tell people, Wikipedia him, man. He's got a huge freaking list of accomplishments. And I went out there and fought scrambles, let him take my back. I mean, I really did. I let him take my back to prove a point that I can hang with the best in the world as far as jiu-jitsu goes and apply it in a real life situation like a fight. Even with all those illegal strikes, man, I could have freaking stomped his face in right off the bat when I knocked him down. Lead hook, uppercut, and that was it.
Yeah, we could talk a little bit about the illegal strikes because I it's funny you say that because I've known AJ for a long time. I knew AJ when he was a kid. I kind of know him somewhat personally. We've been in the same Central Florida jiu-jitsu scene for a long time. He used to ref matches that I competed in. I actually coached him. I was in the room and was there. He needed a coach, and I helped him coached him mat side at the Worlds a couple years back. So I know him quite personally, and it's weird because the person that I know him personally, is a pretty good kid. He's not that bad. He's a little bit cocky, a little bit arrogant, but when you've reached that amount of acclaim, just like you said, he's a world-class jiu-jitsu practitioner.
Yeah.
People could say whatever they want to say about him. His jiu-jitsu is on point. But when I saw him the other night, some of the tactics that he was using were just plain dirty, like the headbutt. was a headbutt. I watched it like 4 times, and I wanted to say, "Hey, AJ, maybe he brought his head back up again, and he brought it back down. He wasn't fighting for position. He wasn't using his head to get to pressure. He brought his head down in a headbutt. Then at the end of the fight, he doesn't shake your hand and walks away. The referee literally grabbed him and pulled him back into the cage and said, "Look, fight's over. You guys shake hands. Even if you hate each other, you shake hands." And he still wouldn't do it. Like, those are things that, as a professional athlete, you shouldn't be doing. You shouldn't be allowed to be doing. And promotions aren't going to keep you allowed. You're not. It doesn't care if you're the Ham or not. They're not going to keep you around much longer after that.
There's eyes on you every second when you're on that TV and everything like that. And I may do some silly things, and he like questioned my credibility as a coach. I have a pretty big kids program, which is kind of like messed up right now because of the whole shutdown. Especially in our state, they're super crazy about it, man. Like, they keep changing the rules every week, so I don't even want to get into that. But I stand by a majority of what I say, and if I say something that I feel like, oh, that wasn't too good, I'll correct it right there on the spot. And everyone's like, yeah, you even called him a kid yourself, right? He's like 35 fucking years old, dude. He's a grown ass man. Right. I've been on my own since I was about 15, dude, and I'm 26. I just turned 26. And I would never do that, man. I don't care how big your ego is and how you don't like losing. Like, I've been in positions. I was held down for 3 rounds in a fight. Not once did I do anything illegal. There was actually, I will say one thing about myself on that. In one of my old fights against Taiwan, I was trying to do like a push off kind of thing, and I like up kicked him, which AJ did as well. You don't up kick someone that's down on the ground with you. That's illegal. And I was like, shit, I remember that because I saw a picture of it, and I was like, oh. And I told him, I was like, hey, my bad, dude, And like, we have good dialogue, and I hated that guy for a minute, because he just did not want to fight me, and he just held me down for 3 rounds. And I was like, what is this shit? This isn't fighting.
Right.
But that's part of the game, dude. That's part of the game. So
yeah, you watch that fight, and it was clear that you guys don't like each other, and I don't care about that. Like, I've whatever. If you don't like the guy you're fighting against while you're fighting and before you're fighting, that's all said and done. But when you go in the cage and 2 dudes, there's like a Bushido code of combat that at the end, hey, you know what? I worked my ass off. You worked your ass off. We both put ourselves in harm ways. The better guy won tonight. Let's shake on this thing, call it a day, and move on with our lives. Fight. Life goes on. I don't really hate you. You don't really hate me. But apparently AJ really just hates people.
Yeah, dude. And like, I don't like people invalidating my work. I don't have an ego too much, as much as anyone. I try to keep myself pretty grounded because I've gotten my ass kicked my whole career. Like, I get my ass kicked hell, dude. I was training with some, blue belts of mine that I've trained, and they're whooping my ass yesterday. I'm like, fuck, gi time, 80 something degrees. It was awful. And I'm like, that's just beautiful, right? That's jiu-jitsu. That's martial arts lifestyle. But then, like, after the fight, all this shit he's posted about, I did, this is what broke my knee, or I just really like to win. That's why I acted the way I do. Like, that kind of shit. Just like, no, own your shit, dude. Own your shit. You're 30-something years old. I kicked you in the knee 3 damn times. I know that's what did it. I even saw it. I elbowed you multiple times. I beat you. I mean, like, all this stuff, man. Just say it. It's all good. You don't have to play the heel at this point, man. I mean, it's like so bad. Just move on.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the actual fight a little bit more, about some of the things that went down in the fight, because I watched the fight, because I'm just, to be honest with you, when I watched the fight kind of in passing, again, I was watching it on Instagram.
I don't hate you. It's okay. I don't hate you.
You sure, man?
Yeah, no. I'm just hungry.
Hands after.
Yeah. It's cool. My best friends didn't even watch it. I was like, dude, fuck you. He's like, hey, good job. I'm like, you watch it?
No, but I saw the clip on Instagram, and I was looking at it on Instagram, and as I was watching it, I was kind of doing other things, and I saw AJ winning some of the positional exchanges, right? So I didn't do anything else. I don't even think I watched the 3rd round. And then at the end of the fight, because AJ posted it, in my mind, I thought, AJ must have won that fight. And then I saw the uproar. And in my mind, I was thinking, you know what, man? Like, maybe AJ got a bad hand on this. But then I went back and watched it again. And I watched it piece by piece, and I don't think he won a round. Like, the main reason I say this is because you talk about the differences between jiu-jitsu and MMA.
Mm-hmm.
And there are lots of high-level jiu-jitsu guys that have tried to make a run at MMA and not just got there. And the reason being is damage. That main word. And when the difference between that fight is when he was in dominant positions, he was not trying to inflict damage, and you were doing a good job of keeping him from going for this mission. When you were in the dominant positions, you were inflicting damage. Tell us a little bit about what BJJ and MMA is about.
Yeah, man. I mean, grappling versus fighting, right? Like, period. Like, whether you're doing Sambo, catch wrestling, all that stuff. You gotta train it. You gotta put the small gloves on. You gotta drill it. It's two different worlds, right? I mean, everyone gets that. I like that old Gracie freaking quote where it's like, can I get hit in the face where like anywhere serious, right? While I'm doing this. And that's the way I've always trained. So I've struggled in like jiu-jitsu only matches with like, man, like a dude heel hooking me and I'm just like, you're about to get the back, you know what I mean? I'm going to rain hand of God on you right now, dude. And so in that fight, a really good example, right? Yeah, he took me down. Yeah, he took my back. Yeah, I escaped. Yes, I defended the position. I also reversed the position and did damage and passed and threatened multiple submissions where I don't think he actually threatened a single one, even when he was on my knee, you know, fiddling around for that heel hook knee bar combo, which I've been in a million times. I just was like, I myself a little cocky, right? I'm like, I've been here a million times. I feel this. I'm good. And then I was like, he's just tripping me. It was just stupid, right? Like, you know, when like a kid trips you and he's on your ankle and you're like, why did I just go down? You're like, you know, 3 feet tall. You shouldn't have tripped me. And just MMA is a different world. And I think you got to train it. You got to tell yourself you're either a sports school, right? Or you're a self-defense school. And it's hard to do. I mean, it's hard to do both, but it can be done. Obviously, a lot of schools do it. I like the self-defense side of it personally. I have a lot of people in that, you know, area.
So. Yeah, I see a lot of MMA matches and a lot of jiu-jitsu guys, and I think like the only guy that I know of that comes to mind that is just a pure jiu-jitsu guy that figures out a way to make it work is Damian Maia, and you know, Damian Maia is just at another level as everyone else. Now, he still had to figure out how to fight on his feet. He still had to figure out ways to incorporate punches to make it happen. But his ability to use pure jiu-jitsu, he prides himself on that. You know,
Now my shoulders are tight. I'll tell you someone else.
Yeah, go ahead.
Ryan Hall, man. Right? Ryan Hall, is that the guy? The weird one that looks like this?
Yeah. He's got the he has Tourette's syndrome. He does look weird.
Shit, does he have Tourette's?
Yeah, it's no big deal. You're an asshole, but it's fine.
Oh shit, dude!
But that doesn't make him look like a monkey. So I guess you can talk about that. So.
No, he's not a monkey. I just like his cauliflower ears are huge, and he's always making that face. And I thought he was just an asshole. So now I'm the asshole.
He's actually a pretty nice guy, but it's fine. That's no big deal.
No, I haven't made fun of someone in a long time like that. He is a great jits guy, man, and he utilizes the Taekwondo side karate, you know, Taekwondo karate, whatever, horse, almost like side stance, to implement high-level grappling. And I'm like, oh, man, I love that. And if there's ever anyone I wanted to fight, I would love to fight Ryan Hall. That's such a cool fight, man. You know, but I have my eye on a couple other, like, I like fighting the jits guys. I'm a jits guy first. I mean, I did Taekwondo growing up, but when I said I'm doing MMA, I was all jiu-jitsu. I did jiu-jitsu for 6 months, took a fight, right? So 6 months of training, then took a fight, and then on an 8-0 tear. So I did 8 fights in 9 months, and then I just kept building off of that. Went pro, kept building my striking, and now my striking game evolved past my jiu-jitsu. And that's the thing, like all these guys have been around forever, man. So I hate when people give them, you know, they give him like, oh, he looked like crap. Well, he just needs to work on it. He just needs time. People have time. They're just not making the time. So.
Yeah, I think AJ is a classic example of like, you know, like yourself. You've had, what is it, 14 fights now, 15 fights, 16 fights.
17
fights. Right. I mean, so like that's a long time to hone your craft. You know, and AJ is another example of one of the guys that has a name, like Dylan Dan, it's the same thing. They have a decent name. Right. They have a name on the jiu-jitsu circuit, so they know that they will pull jiu-jitsu practitioners to come watch their fights. Yeah. So they kind of pump them up the ranks a little bit. And sometimes based upon their jiu-jitsu, they can get it done. But they're not really skilled in the art of MMA enough to be able to be considered, considerable assets or considerable fighters or considerable champions or whatever in the sport.
Yeah, man. Or winning the fight. What? I mean, what's your jiu-jitsu if you can't win a fight, man?
Yeah.
I hate to say it, like
one of the things I noticed too, and this is what I noticed about talking more about other guys that use jiu-jitsu in MMA, because I thought about this a lot, because I've talked to a bunch of different people. Billy Quarantello, I don't know if he's one of my fighters, one of the guys that trains with me at he fights at the UFC now.
He's sick. He's great. I watched his fight. Yeah, it was against the redhead. The
redhead. What a great fight! What a tough fight that was, man.
I don't know how that dude passes a drug test. There's no way.
He's on the ginger juice.
Dude, I mean, I know, dude. I see guys. You eat a little bit wrong and you still look like this. I mean, sure, maybe genetics is it. No, fuck that, dude. That ain't genetics.
I like this.
His fight was great, dude. I liked Billy Q. I was a fan.
Fucking guy didn't make weight either. That pissed me off. If he would have had to suck out to get down to 45 instead of fighting 50, he wanted to fight at 55, and Billy made him cut that extra 5 pounds. I think Billy would have finished.
That's right. They're featherweights, and that guy didn't even make weight. Yeah.
He called like 5 days out and asked to do it at 55.
Yeah.
It's like, screw you, dude. You know you're not going to make weight. Come on, bro.
Dana. I know what you mean.
It's a pain in the butt. But anyway, the point I'm trying to make is that like what I noticed at guys like, you talk about guys like Frankie Edgar, you talk about guys like Billy Q, is that, jiu-jitsu is about more than just having a sit guard and being able to work off your back and being able to go for cool triangles and arm bars and leg locks. That's cool. Right. But the idea of being able to control positional dominance and negate your opponent's jiu-jitsu while you're inflicting damage are things that real high-level jiu-jitsu practitioners in MMA do very effective. And I think that's something that I noticed that you did, that you worked on pretty well. Is that something that you do because you have spent right? And is that something? Have you been fighting MMA throughout the course of your jiu-jitsu career?
Yes. Yeah, pretty much. Well, I mean, my coaches, I had, some interesting coaches, dude. I'm sure everybody has some crazy, Brazilian professor stories. Let's put it that way, right? They beat the fuck out of me. They did not like me. They pretended they liked me. They beat the shit out of me, and I never left because I wanted to do this, and it was the only place I could train. And you learn how. I mean, I had guys punching me when we were just doing jiu-jitsu, like crazy shit, dude. Like guys would come in and they're like, yeah, go with Sunshine. And then they would fucking cheap shot me and be like, no big deal. Just shake it off. I'm like, no, bro, that's fucking assault. Like I was going to college for criminal justice. I'm like, we have rules. We signed the waivers, but we have rules. Like this is in a gi class, bro. So I've learned so much. I know I would laugh too hearing it, but it is like, it fucked with me for a while. It took a long time. I'd go home, I'd tell my wife, I'm like, what the fuck is this? And she's like, look at these other academies. That doesn't happen there. I mean, and I did. I traveled around. I talked to a lot of different fighters, and it's like, dude, it's like there's either a school that's like got it good or got it kind of, adapted or hasn't adapted. Let's just put it that way. And I guess part of it is being at a place that was like that was grimy and like, fuck you, we're going to fight, got me good. But also there's ways to do that in another way. I'm not going to train anybody like that. My fighters aren't going to do that when I have a fight team. And when I go to high level camps, they're not doing that. They're training at jiu-jitsu, but whatever. It is what it is. But you need to implement strikes into everything when you're doing your jiu-jitsu, into every position. And you'll look and see, oh shit, this deep half, sweep is not a good idea, right? Worm guard, you know what I mean? Like that's obviously not going to work. God, 2-on-1 trying to, there's so many different moves that I had to like throw away, and I bust them out only in the gi. And then my students were like, oh shit, that's cool. And I'm like, yeah, don't do it in a fight. Yeah, right. Cool right now.
Yeah, I think that's a very underutilized skill. And when you see guys like it's perfect, like Frankie Edgar, perfect example. Frankie Edgar is known for not passing guard. Like when you get inside Frankie Edgar's guard, Joe Lazone's another one. Joe Lazone doesn't care about passing your guard. When he takes you down and you close guard, like the jiu-jitsu philosophy is pass the guard, advance the position, which again still works fine for you. But the idea of saying if I'm in your close guard, like my jiu-jitsu is a black belt level, I can sit on top of you, hold your hips to where you can't move, you can't go for those triangles, and if you do go for the triangles, I'm going to pass or I'm going to advance position. And while I'm doing that, I can just rain down fire. Like that's a very underappreciated element of BJJ and MMA that guys just don't think about. Which, congratulations, Chris, you did a pretty good job. I was impressed to be able to do that to AJ. Was very impressive. So
that reminded me of my fight. I was like, yeah, I think I stuffed like 2 or 3 triangles in the guard, and then the first elbow split him open, dude. I mean, I fuck that guys. I don't even like to shit talk too much. Like in this, like after a fight, I just let it go. But man, they weren't giving me my credit. It was AJ this, AJ that. Like Jiu-Jitsu time. It's like AJ Agazarm, and it's not saying brown belt, Chris Lencioni beats the shit out of multiple world champ black belt. I'm like, give me that.
We will make sure to give you your due in the title. I'll make sure to put a good point.
I just want to keep working, man. I've competed against black belts. I was, I had beaten some as a blue belt. I had beaten some as a purple and now a brown. And I respect the art and I love it. Like on a total personal note, I just love it. I'm in it for life. I wouldn't open up an academy and dedicate, 100 hours plus a week, right? Doing this if I didn't love it. Like I have a fucking degree, man. I fight people for a living. I could just go do that. I could shut it down and just do $500 private lessons to the hot old ladies out there. Shout out to the hot old ladies. I'll still do it. But I don't have a lot of time.
They definitely need self-defense, and you're a good man for looking out for the hot old ladies out there.
But you know what I'm saying? I'm not doing the hot old lady routine. I have an academy. I'm building up. It's better to help these kids that are having troubles. My wife just texted me, I'm gonna kick your ass.
That's great. That's great.
And it's better. I like that whole philosophy. Better to help the kids now than try to fix like broken adults and stuff. I can't stand that. I mean, I'm not like, I'm not going to help adults when they come in, but if you're not, I'm not even going to remember your name if you're not showing up, every day for a couple months.
That's usually what I tell them too. Like I hate to say it, and I try to do my best with it, but I have a hard time even remembering their names until they get a purple belt. Like it's just because they come and go so much. Like when you're a blue belt, white belt, like I'll kind of see you around, and when you get your purple belt, I know you ain't going nowhere. I know you're going to stay for a while. So then
exactly.
Then you're human. You're human to me. Let's talk. Man. So did you start training in Oregon? Is that home for you?
Yeah, man, that's home. I was in Southern Oregon. I went to like this weird little warehouse, and it was kind of a black belt there. I don't know. It was super weird. I went there like twice, and I was like, ugh. I was moving to Portland anyways to finish school, because I was like at Southern Oregon, and it was like a party college, dude. It was so easy. I went from like flunking out the first year to like straight A's, and I was like, oh fuck, that's all it took. Like massive ADHD, first generation independent college student. They were like giving me all this. They're like, you could take all the pills. You can have your own private room when you do your tests. And I'm like, no, fuck all that. I got to figure it out for myself. I can't take pills the rest of my life. So I like did cold turkey on all that and just, shut the fuck up and got to work. Straight A's. I was like, this is too easy. Portland State, I hear, is really hard. And this was before they went all fucking like, ooh, the president's about to get elected. Let's all like, we need safe spaces. So then they like went full safe space on us there. And I was like, what the fuck? So I like hustled, got it done. And while I was doing that, my buddy was like, go to this fucking Gracie Baja. And I'm like, what's that? I didn't even know much about you. I knew Chael. That was like one of the only fighters I knew. I was like, damn, that guy's fucking hilarious. He's so cool. And I go in on my first day. He's there. I was like, wow. I'm in it for life. He was great. He remembered my name. He had just had his first kid or whatever. And now he's got like 2 kids. It's fucking. They're old, and his kid makes fun of me. Like he gave me like a wet willy or something at one of the last amateur promotions. He was there, in Portland, and I'm like, dude, this is just crazy watching everyone grow up and being in this life.
That's cool. It's cool when you. How old are you now?
I'm 26. Oh, yeah. But I've been on my own.
Get better.
Been on my own for a minute, man. I feel a little older.
Yeah, you start to see kids that were babies that are starting to be like grown-ups now. It's an odd thing. It's a weird thing to see sometimes.
It is, huh? Yeah, I don't know. I was in an in-home daycare when I was younger, and I noticed a difference. But as an adult, I haven't seen it too much yet. Only a couple years of difference, and that's weird enough, dude. So
let's talk a little bit about Oregon, because coming up in Oregon, you talked a lot about like there's like a toughness to that area, because there's something about that northeastern like manly man kind of wilderness kind of figure that it's weird because people from the Northeast are very polite and they're very nice, but there's also a ruggedness to them that breeds that tough nature. Is that something that you noticed in the jiu-jitsu schools and the martial arts schools in the Midwest?
Yeah, in the Pacific, we call it the PNW. Yeah, Pacific Northwest. No, everyone's weird. They're tough as fuck. They'll kill you. They'll skin you. Everyone's got guns, but they're so damn polite, like Canadian polite almost, but not quite, you know, because those guys are kind of pushovers. But just very upfront and weird. And I'm weird. I never fit in California. I was born in Iowa. I enjoyed out there. I visited it a few times. And I did not like California. Jeez, I didn't like it. I don't like it now. It's awful. I would only go down there to continue training at Huntington Beach Ultimate Training Center. I love the Pacific Northwest, and the people are great. Yeah, they'll kill you and they'll skin you though. Don't fuck with them, you know. But they'll help you out as much, you know, at the same time. Big hearts, like very big hearts. So
did you wrestle before you did MMA?
Yeah, and I tried to walk on at Southern Oregon University, which is a really big wrestling school. Austin Vanderford was like he was graduated by then. He was like one of the captains or like coaches or something. I just remember seeing him, a couple other fighters that are all now, a couple other wrestlers are all fighters now, and they were just like pumping iron, dude, like fucking like 350. Yeah, I don't know what, they're fucking huge, right? And I'm like, oh shit. And I was this little fat kid, freshman. Where's all the girls at, bro? And they're like, you need to bulk up. Not Austin didn't tell me this. One of the other coaches did, the head coach. Like, we need a 170 pounder. And I was like 140 pounds. I'm like, okay. So I just started eating chocolate cake and all this other shit. And I just got huge, so fat off of the ADHD medication, right? Not taking it anymore. Weight goes up. And then obviously I got my ass kicked because I was this big fat piece of shit. And so I stopped wrestling. I stopped doing anything. I stopped college. And then when I came back after like one term or something is when I started doing judo at the college and just like fell in love with the whole MMA thing. It was a weird like 180. I went from hating wrestling my whole life to just like embracing the MMA. I love it, dude. You won't catch me in a wrestling practice, dude, but I'll do it all, you know? So it was fun. What a trip, man.
Yeah, there's something about wrestling that kind of breeds that weird toughness that leads to success.
I did it all through high school, man. I got the toughness. It's not that I'm not tough, man. I fought with a broken leg, you know. I fucking took headbutts, and I you know, other guys would be like, my eye, I've been poked, or you know, I got headbutted. I was like, what's up? I'm gonna get off you, and I'm gonna beat the shit out of you. So I just wasn't a fan of it. I didn't like it, and I'm very much like, if I'm not loving this in some form, even if like, oh, I love the grind, I didn't even love that kind of grind. It was just stupid. No one was teaching me. I didn't even know how to run a double, you know, or any transitions. Chain wrestling, I've learned more wrestling now as an adult fighting than I ever did, you know. So
yeah, that's cool. I kind of agree with you on that. I mean, I wrestled in high school, and I tried to walk on to wrestle in college, and it didn't work out. But my wrestling has gotten better. Like, I feel pretty confident in my wrestling from my jiu-jitsu, just from training jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, I'd go beat up some high school kids now, dude. Let's go, dude. Let's go. I'll fuck them up.
That's cool, man. That's cool.
I'll walk on.
So what do you got coming up next in Bellator, man? Have you talked about any other fights? Have you talked about anything else in the future?
I'm a free agent, man. I'll do whatever. I could do the jiu-jitsu. I can go UFC. I can go Bellator. ONE FC probably won't like me because I talk a lot, and they're very much like, their image is like respect, right? Yes. But then you hear a lot of crazy shit about them, like not paying people or cutting people after like, oh, I'll give you a 6-fight deal, and then they win their first fight, and they're like, yeah, you, dude, you know?
Yeah. There's something fishy about that organization. The ONE FC.
There's something fishy about all of them, bro. Yeah, all of them. They're all about money, son, and I get it. I'm cool. I make the money. I'll make some money. Bellator 243 did the most views in Bellator history or something like that, and AJ and I, all of our pre-fight stuff, our fight itself got like as much views as Michael Chandler knocking out Benson Henderson.
That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah. So
that ain't too bad, dude. That ain't too bad. That's something to hold on to, man.
Sorry, I gotta pee. I always gotta pee like after like 20 something minutes in an interview. I'm like,
you want to go run and pee real quick? We'll click it off and come right back. Go ahead if you want.
Good. All right.
Yeah, go ahead. So back again after a bathroom break, one more time here with Mr. Chris Lencioni, talking some more MMA, some more Bellator news after this big fight with AJ Agazarm. So let's get a few more questions in with you. We got a little more time to go here. I'll keep you going because you're a good kid. I like talking to you.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. You talked a little bit about the recovery process in the beginning stages, how you're taking some time off to let your body heal up. Just for people, the folks at home that don't necessarily understand what it's like to get ready for a big time MMA fight or an MMA fight in general. Like sometimes the actual fight is the least of the problems, like the injuries and the things that occur like in the fight are sometimes the easiest part. Like it's the idea of going through a 6-week training camp. That's pretty standard. I don't know what you go through, but the idea of going through the training process of an extended training camp beforehand that sometimes does the damage to you. Tell us a little bit about why you take that time off and how you feel about that. So
I always do a week. And I've actually gotten into like huge arguments. It's one of the arguments I got into with my old gym or whatever, because I always take a week off of fights. It's such a big deal for that 1 week, right? And I had so many people just like blowing my shit up. They're like, God, come do this, come do that, and I'm like, if I'll choose to do something, right? But I'm taking that whole week off. I could like take a cereal box, like freaking, and just go through this like gigantic freaking list of things that you do when you're going into a fight. I mean, some of these guys, these heavyweights, they just stop drinking for a week and then they go fight. But like for the rest of us, we're professional athletes. We're watching our micronutrients, our macronutrients, right? Our freaking all of our muscles. You have to keep track of all of them and look for any little, issues with them, because one little issue can throw the whole body out of alignment, especially when you're cutting down to 5% body fat, like a lot of fighters do. And fighting, right? You're so susceptible to injury, sickness, all sorts of, even though you're super healthy, you can get sick really easy because you got no fat on you. You just, you've got issues with your brain, you're messing with your hormones. Just talking about hormones, I can have a giant chart, right, of like all the hormones that you need to work just to freaking, pee or, make a baby or something like that. And one of those things being out of whack will fuck up the whole train, right? And everything we do with our fight stuff, it has the potential to do that, especially cutting weight. Like my liver was like failing. The freaking guy was telling me, he's like, your liver's fucked up and this is what's going on.
Let's see here.
I've been turning all my calls off, man. I don't know how they keep getting through.
You're good, man. That's what, you're good. You're good.
So I had to do like a whole liver detox, and so like after a fight, just that 1 week is just for the mental, and your body still isn't healed. I kind of fractured my hand a little bit after my fight because I hit him so much. And that's still a little hurt, it's been like 8-9 days. So very important to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I think what I tell guys, and again, people will debate this all the time. I've had people say, no, you can't take that time off because you get soft. Now, I tell guys that after they have a big competition, mate, take a week and chill. And like some people don't need this. Some people want to keep going. Some people are like, I'm going to get right back in the gym again. And like some people say, no. I'm not telling you to take 3 months off and go eat pizza and drink beer, and, and go and become a fat waste of life. But there's something even aside from the physical recuperation, there's the psychological and the mental recovery, because when you're in a fight camp, just like you said, you're hyper focused on all those things you talked about. You got to go to bed early. You got to eat right. You got to fucking watch about the hormones and the micronutrients and all the other things that it takes.
Drink
and your training.
Water.
Right. Exactly. So you kind of need that time to just say, you know what, man, I'm going to go out and not care about anything for a week and just get my life right and go have a party and relax and maybe have a couple beers and go to the beach or something, or go out and do whatever you do in Oregon, like swing from trees or.
I don't do that. I know there's a lot of weirdos that do that. I'm like, I'm not going to worry about drinking fucking 2 gallons of water today. I'm going to just enjoy my life,
Right.
My wife's like, hey, let's get some gluten-free vegan pizza because we're both bad with cheese and we don't do the gluten thing because, it's I just looked at it. We looked into it. It's like actually kind of there's some legit reasons. It's like, let's go get that pizza and let's have a little soda too, And then the next day I feel like shit because I'm not used to that. But it reminds you why you stick to what you do, that whole martial arts lifestyle. So
Right,
it's fun, fun balance.
And it's fun. Like, when you go back and you start training again, you're just refreshed and ready to go. You gotta live a little bit sometimes, man. That's very important for everyone to realize. You have to give yourself time to smell the roses, or you just get burnt out. You start to hate what you do. You never want to hate what you're doing.
Yeah, I did hate it for a minute. I hated it for a year, and that's when I lost my 2 fights. So,
Well, I got a few more things I've scribbled down over here and some spots, and then I'll let you get out of here. I gotta go eat anyway, man. It's been a long day.
Oh yeah, amen.
So,
amen.
One more thing I noticed just when talking about AJ. We'll talk about AJ one more time, just because whatever. I have a feeling I just want to get this off my chest and ask your opinion on it. Like, I watched particularly in between the rounds, like a couple of the times when you guys were hamming with each other at the end of the round. What were some of the responses he was giving you? Was he talking trash? Was he getting nasty with you? Was he kind of gumming with you and stuff like that?
Yeah, but he wasn't saying anything coherent.
Yeah.
He was just like, fucking guy, fuck you. Like the first round, he kicked me in my fucking like knee or hip or something, like threw my balance off, then kicked me again. I'm like, fuck you, dude. Like, you're just mad. I beat you. Deal with it.
Right.
That's the first round. Guess what? There's 2 more rounds, and I'm still going to beat you. And then the second round, I'm in my corner. I know I am, because that's where I took his ass the first round. And then I'm sitting there. I got out of his guard. So it's up to him to roll and move out of the way. I'm there. And he fucking punched me in the chest, right in the sternum, right? And I'm like, oh, solar plexus hit. But I don't show it. I'm like, nice. And then I got yelled at too. But it's just a moment thing, right? Even the referee later was like, no. Totally on him. I may be an antagonizer,
right?
But there are rules. And we all antagonize, you know? Nobody was like mad at Israel Adesanya because he was like taunting, Anderson Silva. Anderson Silva didn't go wham and kick him in the nuts or punch him after the round. We got rules and we play that game. So yeah, he was weird, man. I'm telling you. I don't know. The guy I don't think too much time with the Diaz's, man. Too much weed. Probably just been dabbing really hard over there.
That's the same thing I was going to bring up. It's funny you brought that up about the Diaz's, because I think he probably is smoking dabs, and you're absolutely right. But I was going to bring that up, and he's trained. He's been around the Diaz brothers for a while. There's a couple clips of him going out there with the Diaz brothers in Vegas when they were trying to interview Nate, and he knows them from the jiu-jitsu connections. But like, it seemed to me that that he was taking it, and this is what I'm going to kind of get into my next point about that. He's kind of taking cues from Nick and Nate to try to make himself this tough guy kind of thing, and like, the difference is this is like, I love AJ, but like AJ, you grew up in like the suburbs of Central Florida, and and Nick grew up on the mean streets of no, not Compton. Where are they from?
Stockton, motherfucker.
Stockton, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
And I make this point to say this is that, like, I don't mind. Like, you seem like you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
You.
There we go. We're good. Good enough.
Let's see if I can hear you better.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I did. Yep. I did, yeah.
You did? You still get nothing, huh?
Nothing. Damn, man.
Hold on a second.
You can just man, finish without me, fucking thing. Killing me, dude. I hate it.
Yeah, we might have to, Ben. Yeah, I think we're going to have to. Sorry, kid. You're good, buddy.
Hey,
thanks, man. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you, man. Yeah. So, we had some extended technical difficulty, unfortunately, but I believe we got enough for the show to give you guys some insights. Chris Lencioni is a good dude, man. He's a Bellator fighter, had a great fight with AJ, and it's important to see how well he did with his jiu-jitsu against someone at a highest level as AJ Agazarm was, and still be able to maintain and do some damage against the kid. And, I like him. He was a good dude. He was a fun interview, and I had a good time with him. So that's going to be Kevin Gallagher signing out for the Jiu-Jitsu Times podcast. Check us out on Spotify, on YouTube. You can go read our articles on the Jiu-Jitsu Times website, on Facebook page, and all the other fun things like that. And you can check me out on Instagram if you'd like. That's going to be all for today. And thank you so much for your time. We'll check you out next time, guys. Take it easy.